Today we will learn how to write equations in slope-intercept form y is equal to mx plus b form. For this video tutorial to be effective, I will be using this format. First, I will flash each question for about 10 seconds, and you may pause the video whenever you want to give yourself time to try out each question. And finally, I will explain each question and I'll give you some tips and strategies on how to solve each question. Are you ready? Here we go. Linear equations can be written in different forms. The first one is called the slope-intercept form, or the y is equal to mx plus b. In this equation, m refers to the slope and b is the y-intercept. The second is called the standard form, ax plus by equals c. In this equation, the values for a, b, and c are integers, and a must be positive integer. And third, the point slope form, y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. In this equation, m is the slope, and the x1, y1 is the coordinate of the given point. Question number 1. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. When writing an equation in the slope-intercept form, we need to isolate the variable y on the left side, and the x variable and the constant will be on the right side. That way, we can easily determine the value of m, or the slope, and the b, or the y-intercept. So for question number 1, we need to isolate the y on the left side. So this means we need to do the inverse operation for 11x, which is minus 11x to both sides. 11x minus 11x is 0. Now we have 6y is equal to negative 11x plus 48. So now we have 6y is equal to negative 11x plus 48. It's always a good idea to write the constant towards the end. Solving for y by itself, we now divide each term by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1, so we have 1y. Negative 11 over 6, we will leave it as an improper fraction. 48 divided by 6 is 8. So this is the slope-intercept form. Y is equal to negative 11 over 6x plus 8. In this equation, negative 11 over 6 is the slope m, and 8 is the y-intercept b. Question number 2. 3x plus 7y is equal to 28. So in this problem, the first thing that we need to do is subtract 3x to both sides. So 3x minus 3x is 0. We now have 7y is equal to negative 3x plus 28. What's the next step? Dividing both sides by 7. So dividing by 7 over 7 over 7. So left side now is just 1y is equal to negative 3 over 7x plus 28 over 7 is 4. So in this equation, the slope is negative 3/7 and the y-intercept b is 4. Question number 3. Y minus 2 is equal to negative 1/5 times the quantity x minus 5. For this equation, the first thing that we need to do is distribute the negative 1/5 to the parentheses x minus 5. So right side is negative 1/5 x. Negative 1/5 times negative 5 is positive 1. Because you have negative 1 times negative 5 is 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So left side is y minus 2. Now, isolating the variable y on the left side, we need to do the inverse of minus 2, which is adding 2 to both sides of the equation. Negative 2 divided by 2 is 0. So left side now is y. Right side is negative 1/5 x, and then we have plus 3. So this is our slope-intercept form, which means that negative 1/5 is the slope m, and 3 is the y-intercept b. Question number 4. Y minus 2 is equal to negative 1/2 times the quantity x plus 5. Just like the previous problem, we also need to distribute the negative 1/2 to the quantity x plus 2. So distributing the negative 1/2, we now have negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times 2 is negative 1. Left side is y minus 2. Doing the inverse operation for minus 2, we need to plus 2 to both sides of the equation. So now we have y is equal to negative 1/2 x, negative 1 plus 2 is 1. So this is the slope-intercept form. The slope is negative 1/2 and the y-intercept is positive 1. Question number 5. 10 plus 2y plus 5x is equal to 0. Again, the main objective here is to isolate the y on the left side. So if I leave the 2y on the left side, then this means that 10 and 5x will go to the right side. And if we move 5x to the right side, that turns now to negative 5x. If we move 10 to the right side, this is now minus 2. It's the same thing as doing the inverse of 5x and doing the inverse of 10. So now we have 2y is equal to negative 5x minus 10. What's the next step? Dividing each term by 2. Over 2, over 2, and over 2. So 2y divided by 2 is 1y. Negative 5 over 2, leave it as an improper fraction. And negative 10 over 2 is negative 5. So this is the slope-intercept form. And the slope here is negative 5 over 2. And the y-intercept b is negative 5. Question number 6. 20 is equal to negative 10x plus 4y. In this problem, the variable y is on the right side. So it doesn't matter, you can isolate it on the right side. So I will leave the 4y on the right side. This means negative 10x, I will move it to the left. So this is now the same thing as positive 10x plus 20. Now we can divide each term by 4. Simplifying this further, 10 over 4 in simplest fraction is 5 over 2. So we have 5 over 2x. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so we have 1y. So this is the same thing as y is equal to 5 over 2x plus 5. So this is the simplest slope-intercept form, and the slope is 5 over 2, and the y-intercept is 5. Question number 7. Negative 2 is equal to negative x minus y. For this question, I will isolate the variable negative y on the right side, which means the negative x needs to be moved to the other side. And negative x now becomes positive x. And then we copy minus 2. What's the next step? Here, the coefficient of y is negative, so this means that we can divide each of the term by negative 1. So simplifying this, x divided by negative 1 is negative 1x. Negative 2 divided by negative 1 is positive 2, is equal to negative 1y divided by negative 1 is positive y. So this equation is the same thing as y is equal to negative x plus 2, which means that in this equation, the slope here is negative 1, and the y-intercept is positive 2. Question number 8. 5y is equal to negative 5 plus x. So in this equation, y is already on the left side. So what we need to do next is simply divide each term by positive 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, so we have 1y. Negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. And this means x over 5 is the same thing as 1/5 x. Arranging this, we now have y is equal to 1/5 x minus 1. So in this problem, the slope is 1/5 and the y-intercept is negative 1. Question 9. 2y is equal to negative 2 plus 3x. So in this equation, we need to divide both sides by 2. Simplifying the left side, we have 1y. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. And 3 over 2, leave it as an improper fraction. Rearranging this, we now have y is equal to 3 over 2x and then minus 1. So this is the slope-intercept form. The slope is 3 over 2 and the y-intercept is negative 1. Question number 10. 2y plus x is equal to negative 4. The first thing that we need to do is transfer x to the right side, or doing the inverse, which is minus x to both sides. So the new equation is 2y is equal to positive x becomes negative x, and then we copy minus 4. And the last step is dividing each term by 2. So 2y divided by 2 is y. Now we have negative 1/2 x, and we have minus 2. So in this equation, the slope is negative 1/2 and the y-intercept is negative 2. Are the answers.